Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we have some lucky cards, or lucky with mica stain cards, featuring Pretty Pink Posh January 2024 release products. We're going to start our project today with the layered Shamrock stencils. I've die cut rectangles using the largest of the Eyelet rectangle dies from Pretty Pink Posh. These are from a previous release and I absolutely love them. And I'm masking off the edges from the stitching line to the outer edge of the eyelet. That way we're only inking up the center part of the panel. Using Twisted Citron and Lucky Clover Distress Oxide inks, we're going to create our own colorful background. Don't worry about some of these blotchy areas. They will tend to kind of fade out and not be as blotchy once this ink dries a little bit. Plus, once we add in some extra fun layering with all of the different things we're going to do. The key to these, the cards, in my opinion, are these amazing backgrounds. Taking Lucky Clover, then Distress Oxide ink, because of course we had to use the Lucky Clover ink for our Shamrock cards, I'm going to ink around the edges to give the edges a little bit more of that bright green and more of the limey green in the center. Next, we're taking those layering Shamrock stencils. There's two of them, and one of them we're going to use to ink the Lucky Clover ink right over that background we inked for a tone-on-tone effect. Now, this would be amazing if you just wanted to do inks in different colors, or you can do like I'm going to do here, and we're going to create our backgrounds first, just like this with the first stencil, and then I'm going to carefully pick this up, leaving the Post-it tape in place. Originally, I was like, oh, I'm going to pull it off. And then I remembered, no, let's leave it there because we have quite a bit more work to do for the panel. So on the second card, I will be doing the exact same thing. If you have been here for any length of time, you know that I often like to create multiple cards when I am making one and I have all of the supplies out. There are so many awesome Shamrock style products in this Pretty Pink Posh release that I wanted to see if I could do two completely different embellished cards, but the guts of the cards are the same, meaning our backgrounds are going to be the same, our sentiments are even going to be the same on these cards, but I'm going to do two different Shamrock style embellishments. One will be a shaker and one will be more of a bottom corner floral design, for lack of a better term, but instead of florals, we're going to use shamrocks and add in some greenery. Then I am taking my Lucky Clover again. I did the Twisted Citron all over and just blending that color in. We will do our shamrocks next. Now, if you caught my other video last week where I did Valentine's cards with stenciled backgrounds, and I will link it in the upper corner right here, you will remember that I used some paste for part of my stenciling, or all of my stenciling, depending on the stencil I used. Well, we're going to do something similar here, but with gold Hero Arts paste. So once I have my first layer down, we have our ink blending down, we have our awesome first layer of stenciling down, we want to go ahead and add in the paste. And I removed my stamp wheel and then I was like, no, I think I still need that. We are going to take this gold paste from Hero Arts, and it is so buttery smooth. To me, it's almost like a can of frosting or something. It just really goes on amazing. I'm going to take my palette knife and just mix it up a little bit, but look at that. Look how smooth it is. And I'm going to put this layer of gold paste down, and then I'm taking my stencil pal and I want to really get a nice thin, even layer of this stencil paste all over the design. Now, when I created these, I made sure I was ready for this step for both of my cards. That way I could stencil both with the paste and then set them aside to dry while I go wash everything so that it doesn't cake on to my cards. Now, we still don't want to remove the Post-it tape because we are not done creating amazing backgrounds. To me, backgrounds are a very integral, important part of the card making design, and they can make or break a card. So let's go ahead and add our gold shamrocks on the second one. And you could, even if you wanted to, do the first layer of shamrocks in a green or a green glitter paste. I think that would be amazing. Let it dry completely and then go back in with gold, and you could have a two-tone textured background. What I love about the texture paste is that it gives you an awesome textured background, and it doesn't have to be super thick. The layer is really fairly thin here, but it looks absolutely amazing. Okay, I went and washed everything. I'm letting it dry, and next I'm going to come in with some mica stains. So basically everything in this card is mica stain heavy. We're going to add some unraveled mica stain, which is a Halloween color, but if you know me, you know that mica stains, it doesn't matter what their name is. We're going by color only. These are my favorite stains for adding splatter effects. And I love this one because it's kind of a shimmery, it's not gold, not silver. And then we're going to go in with flickering candle. So both of these were Halloween-ish colors. And that flickering candle is going to be the nice gold tone. So we have some kind of just shimmery, almost pewter maybe is what unraveled looks like. And then we'll have some darker splatters with flickering candle. I want these to completely dry. I'm going to peel off my Post-it tape, and you can see that leaves me with beautiful white eyelet borders, so it instantly looks like it has a nice layer. We'll set those aside to dry. Now, we also need to create our background here for our card. I looked at the eyelet panel against the white card background, and I was like, you know, that's not really what I'm looking for. I don't want that white on white for these cards. So what I did was take two 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panels of smooth white cardstock. Not a lot of this is going to show. However, I really want it to tie into the rest of the card. I added a splattering of the specimen colored Distress Oxide, Distress Mica Stain ink. And then I did some bubbling cauldron on top of that. And I didn't take it all the way to the edge. We're going to set those aside to dry as well. In the meantime, I have die cut some of the awesome stitched shamrocks, and we're going to add color with our mica stains using a combination of specimen, bubbling cauldron, and wicked elixir. Basically, we are going Halloween crazy heavy with our Distress Mica stains, but look how fantastic they work for some Shamrock springtime cards. How much do I love that? I love these, you guys. If you have not picked up any of these Tim Holtz Distress Mica stains, or you're just looking to add a few to your collection, I highly, highly recommend them. An absolutely amazing way to quickly and easily add color. Next, I also have some winter foliage dies. These are an older release product as well, but I went ahead and die cut some of the sprigs from some gold matte cardstock, and then I die cut a couple of other sprigs from white cardstock that we are going to add some color to with the Lucky Clover Distress Oxide ink before adding some more mica stain splatter, if you can even believe it. I am going to go ahead and ink up the rest of these shamrocks. I did end up die cutting the two smaller ones again that I die cut with that large shamrock. And I forgot to mention that large shamrock is actually the Shamrock shaker. One of the cards will be a shaker. The other one is going to be just a non-shaker card. So that biggest shamrock, and you can use that biggest shamrock with or without the shaker. You don't have to use it as a shaker. If you just wanted another option for a stitched shamrock design, that would be amazing as well. I love mixing these 3 shades of green. I thought they worked really nicely, and I like the little bit of darker splatter in there. I like it to not be completely full coverage. If a tiny little bit of white shows through here and there, I'm totally good with it. Here are those other 2 sprigs from that winter foliage set, and instead of using a round motion, I'm going to use a pouncing motion to add Lucky Clover ink to these. I probably could have even grabbed some Lucky Clover, or pardon me, a Picket Fits pouncer to do this, or a Simon Says stamp pouncer, but that brush was out. Now, after I've inked these, I am going to take a little bit of flickering candle, and I am going to hold it pretty far away. I only want a few droplets on these sprigs. I don't want them to be mica stain heavy, but more of a splatter effect. Next, we are back with our Shamrock shaker components, and I want to tape the outer part, which is what I use to die cut the solid shape, with the inner part to make the frame, and we are going to die cut that frame 4 times from white cardstock and once from matte gold cardstock. We've also taken the background shape and die cut that from some thin acetate. I love the Simon Says stamp acetate. Now, full disclosure, it did not die cut fantastic. My cutting plates probably need to be replaced, but I don't really care about that. As long as I have the shape, I can grab my scissors and go ahead and die cut that to fit back behind. I've glued the solid Shamrock acetate to the back of the gold frame, and then we are gluing each of these white frames one on top of another. The reason that I went ahead and taped the 2 Post-it, or the 2 dies together with Post-it tape to die cut them, is I needed them to all be exactly the same, so that when I go and stack all of these white and the gold frame on each other, we're not going to see any of that white show through. 4 was about enough to create a deep enough well for our shaker beads, which is absolutely perfect. I'm going to take my layered white frame and place it on the background. I love how this looks so good. And I'm using some acrylic blocks, something nice and heavy, to help hold that all together while the liquid glue dries. Here are those awesome shaker beads. They look like sprinkles for cookies is what they look like, but they are fantastic for shakers. I'm going to fill my shaker well with these beads, and you can see that there is some gold beads in here, which looks amazing with all the gold accents we're doing today. Then we're going to glue the frame with the acetate right on top, just like this. And again, I'll place something heavy on top to hold that nice and flat while the glue dries. Using a piercing tool, I'm going to go around the eyelet border. The rectangles are from a previous release. This release had the eyelet hearts, which I've used on a couple of different projects. And both of those will be linked down in the description if you want to check out those videos with more Valentine's themed product. But I like to take a piercing tool and pop all of these out and make sure I have a nice clean eyelet edge before I attach it to my project. Now you might be thinking, I don't create cards for St. Patrick's Day. Well, I don't really either, but you can use these products for fantastic spring themed cards or just something to brighten someone's day. The Lucky to Know You sentiment that I'm using for both cards is fantastic for any kind of occasion. I'm placing some thin foam adhesive on the back of my panel, avoiding that eyelet edge, and then gluing it down to the mica stain background. I love how that green really sets off the beautiful white border of each of these backgrounds. So on one card again, I want to figure out my placement for my Shamrocks, and then on the other card, I want to figure out my placement for the Shamrocks and greenery. I love the gold Shamrocks with that stencil paste in the background. They're so pretty. Popping up the Shamrock on the right card, this is going to be the card with the greenery. We're going to start with our largest Shamrock we're using in the design, tuck some sprigs underneath, and then we're layering 2 more Shamrocks. So a trio of Shamrocks in the lower right corner. And then we'll have sprigs coming out of the top, and I'm gluing these with liquid adhesive. Foam adhesive underneath the Shamrocks, everything else with some foam adhesive, or liquid adhesive, pardon me. So 2 of those little gold sprigs, and then our green sprig here with a little very subtle gold splatter. And I like how that looks. So we're going to layer in our additional Shamrocks, kind of just covering up this corner. I imagine it like I would if I was adding florals to this corner, and instead we're using the Shamrocks in place of florals. Anywhere they overlap, I'm trying to avoid the foam so that it lays nice and flat. And then again, let's take our remaining 2 little gold sprigs and our other green branch and place those over here along the left side. And that looks perfect. Now, before we assemble the rest of it, I want to go ahead and heat up my Glimmer hot foil machine. I love that Pretty Pink Posh has a lot of hot foil sentiments that work with their dies. So they have the Lucky die from this set. Now you can use the Lucky dies without foil. The hot foil plate is a separate purchase. If you don't hot foil and you want to do the layering cardstock pieces for Lucky, that's perfectly fine and so much fun. In fact, I think it would be awesome to die cut the word Lucky from the matte gold cardstock and layer it on the white, or even use it without the layer if you'd like to. I'm going to foil because I thought the foil would be a fun addition, and I'm going to foil the word Lucky twice with gold foil from Spellbinders. And you can see it foils perfectly. The Pretty Pink Posh hot foil plates are amazing. I die cut them with the coordinating die then, and we're going to pop them up on each card and finish them with the phrase "To Know You," which is from the Lucky Clear stamp set. I just stamped that little phrase on white cardstock using the Lucky Clover ink and die cut it with some Pretty Pink Posh sentiment label dies. Super simple and a great way to kind of finish off our greeting. That large Lucky with the white border ties in nicely to our white eyelet border as well. Now I felt like I needed to glue that down so it would stay put. I did adhere this one with liquid adhesive. The second one I'll show you, it has to be a little trickier because we have to have it go over part of our dimensional shaker. I also went ahead and only put foam adhesive under part of this border. The rest of it is liquid where it overlaps the Shamrock. And that looks amazing. We're going to set that aside to dry for a second. And I actually did find, I did grab the clay shapes, and I'm going to embellish the one Shamrock with some of these circle shapes just for fun. Nouveau crystal drops would be fun. I think some gold pearls would be fun, or even some green pearls would be fun. Pretty Pink Posh is very well known for their amazing assortment of sequins, confetti, beads, all of that good shakery goodness. And they have a little something in every color scheme for everything and everyone. I'm using an embellishment wand to easily pick things up and pop them in place where they go. Now, as I mentioned, the shaker card is going to be a little trickier just because it's much bigger and takes up more room. So I want to layer a couple of these additional shamrocks kind of in the upper right. And then we're going to have our big shaker right here in the center. I even think that would make a fantastic little tag to add to a gift bag if you're doing maybe a fun St. Patty's Day get together or something. I think that could be really cute. And then I'm going to take these thin foam strips and remove both sides of the adhesive to fit it underneath where the sentiment does not overlap the dimensional embellishment. This will just help make it stay a little nicer and flatter. So I keep double checking with my card to see where I need to place that foam. In fact, I placed foam underneath a couple of these center letters, but I think they overlap the stem of the shamrock, so I end up pulling those off. A little liquid glue up top. And then I went to put it down and I was like, oh, that keeps bumping. So let's just pull that off. And then we want to glue this down like so and add our remaining little shamrock kind of at the end of the sentiment. So we're going to tuck that guy in and then add our other sentiment strip that does have foam adhesive on the back. And I think that little shamrock tucked into our greeting is going to be super cute. I will again place something heavy on top to help hold this down and help it dry flat. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these two lucky mica stain cards featuring Pretty Pink Posh January 2024 release products. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new paper crafting video or I go live. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.